No way they actually do this. The Rangers have been linked to a shutdown defenseman via trade, but at what cost? I break down whether or not this trade idea makes sense in just a moment on another sizzling edition of Rangers Digest. Welcome back to Rangers Digest. We are built for blue shirt fandom, and I am your host, Bret Botfeld. It is great to be back with you guys on this gorgeous Tuesday, the 19th of August, officially less than 1 month away from the start of the NHL season. I am so excited about that. We have a lot to talk about here today, but before we do that, a quick reminder that about 77% of you who currently watch these videos are still unsubscribed to the channel. So please go down below and hit that free subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything happening in New York Rangers. Not only that, so you can be part of something special here at Rangers Digest. Let's waste no more time and hop right into today's packed video. So we're going to be talking about a trade idea today. I want to preface this by saying this is not a trade report from an Elliot Friedman or a Frank Saravelli, something like that. This is simply an off-season trade proposal from a hockey writer from heavysports.com, and we're going to be breaking down whether the Rangers should actually look into this idea, this proposal, and make it a reality. So I'm going to take you through the good and the bad with this deal. But starting off, this is from Snark Messier on X, a great account. He said in a new article, Cole Shelton of heavysports.com pitched a trade proposal in which the New York Rangers would be sending newly acquired Scott Morrow and their only 2026 second-round pick to the New York Islanders for 31-year-old defenseman Artemi Pelech. And guys, I did not expect to see this. You know, Artemi Pelech, I'm sure most of you are familiar with him, plays for our crosstown rival New York Islanders, is a very solid player and has been in his own right, obviously a first pair player for the Islanders. And we're going to break down whether or not this actually makes sense for the Blueshirts. Now, it was reported from Islanders analyst Michael Stehersky of Ison Isles. He named Pelech a trade candidate this season as New York, the New York Islanders, not Rangers, may look to turn over the defense and go younger. So obviously the Isles have a lot of veteran, good defensemen on their team. Artemi Pelech is one of them. And Stehersky here is talking about exploring the idea of flipping one of those veterans and going in a younger direction, probably freeing up some cap space as well, as they don't have much to play with. He adds that perhaps the most likely candidate who would bring the most back in return is Artemi Pelech. Pelech has been a rock for the Islanders since entering the league, but with 3 seasons left on his deal at $5.75 million, he could draw interest from multiple organizations. Excuse me, a little indigestion there. Stehersky wrote. So now, very interesting. I want to talk about that $5.75 million deal that Stehersky is alluding to here. I'll pull it up right here on the screen. As you can see, his current contract, nearly $6 million AAV, 5.75. He's entering the 5th year of that 8-year contract, so certainly a rich deal for my liking. This is going to take him through his age 34 season. So, you know, an aging defenseman, but nevertheless still a solid, productive player. I spoke about how he's on that first pair for the Islanders, has formed a really nice duo on that blue line with Ryan Pelech. So Pelech and Pelech, like I said, have formed a nice defensive first pair. Pelech would probably play second pair on the Rangers because let's not forget we brought in a star defenseman, a veteran in Vladislav Gavrikov, who is most likely going to play first pair with Adam Fox. It just makes sense, that yin-yang combination. They complement each other perfectly. Now, Artemi Pelech, sort of similar to Gavrikov, plays on the left side, could play on that second pair behind Gavrikov, you know, a stay-at-home type of defenseman. Doesn't offer much offensive upside, but what he does on the defensive end is certainly valuable and would be valuable to the Rangers. But at this hefty contract, you know, I don't believe the Rangers, while it would be nice, it would be a luxury, I don't believe the Rangers are an Artemi Pelech away from winning a Stanley Cup championship or even getting through the Eastern Conference, getting through the Florida Panthers, right? Even Carolina, etc. Pelech, very good player. Now, I believe without Pelech, the Rangers can make the playoffs. With Pelech, I believe they can make the playoffs. It's just, I don't believe he's that much of a needle mover to get them over the hump, which is why one of the reasons I wouldn't do it. The second reason is also because of that contract, guys. Now, if he was making less money, I do believe he could slightly move the needle for the Rangers, but at this cost, it's just not worth it, in my opinion. Like I said, he's aging. He's been declining slowly the last few seasons. And like I said, I still believe the Rangers can make the playoffs without Adam Pelech. Now, it would be interesting because we'd be getting into a scenario where you have Gavrikov, Fox on the first pair, you'd have Pelech on the second pair. Then you probably wouldn't have to move Schneider off of the right side. You'd probably be able to keep him at second pair right defenseman. And I believe you would have to do that because whether he's playing the left or the right side, you need to give Braden Schneider more responsibility this year. Can't stick him down on that third pair any longer. Same with Lafreniere. You can't, just stick him on that second power play unit here and there. You need to put him on that first power play unit and see what he could do. Give more responsibility to these players. Ask more out of them and see if they can provide that production. Now, Pelech and Schneider would be a good combo. You would get that offensive upside from Schneider, Pelech, that stay-at-home type of defenseman. But then the third pair gets murky, right? You still have Carson Soucy on this roster, unfortunately, making $3.25 million. If he's on that third pair, who do you pair him with? Will Borgen? I mean, you could do that, try to create a shutdown type of third pair, but, neither of those players give you any type of offensive upside, any type of offensive skill set. I love Will Borgen. He's going to block shots. He's going to hit people. But Carson Soucy, just kind of a nuisance on this Rangers roster. It doesn't look like they're going to be moving him, which is unfortunate. But I'd rather keep Scott Morrow. I'd rather keep Morrow on that third pair on the right side. I like the idea of exploring a kid line 2.0, but on the blue line, right? Maybe a Matthew Robertson with Scott Morrow. That yin and yang certainly complements each other well. You get the big physical body in Matthew Robertson. You get the offensive upside from Scott Morrow. And I don't want the Rangers to keep bringing in these veteran-type players, especially if they're not a veteran like Pelech away from winning a cup. I like that the Rangers are starting to get a little bit younger here, trimming off the fat. They're the 10th youngest team in the NHL, which was actually surprising to me. But I don't want to see the Rangers go down the route that we've seen before where you just bring in all these veterans and, you get to a certain point, but you can't get over that hump. You kind of hit that plateau. So Pelech, I think he's a very good player. I just wouldn't do this trade because of the contract, because of the age, because of the slight dip in production that we've seen the last few years, which we're going to get into. And also, you have to keep in mind, guys, next year's free agent class, you have to keep that in the back of your mind. I know it's gone a little bit under the radar here as the offseason has gone along, but you still have to be smart. You still have to plan for the future, and the future is next summer. That free agent class is going to be loaded, so we'll see what happens there. Pelech, good player, but I would not make the trade. Now I want to break down his stats from this past season. All right, as you can see here, I said it before, 31 years old, 6'3", 210 pounds, a big physical body, a burly defenseman, played in 60 games, had no goals, 21 assists for a total of 21 points. He was a +4 in 21 minutes of ice time. As you can see here from the stat graph, blocked 87 shots, so over a 1 blocked shot per game player, which is good. I spoke about how the Rangers have been bringing in players like Gavrikov who block shots at a high rate, and that's going to help Igor Shesterkin because, he faced way too many shots this past season, so the Rangers need to do a better job of, keeping the puck away from Igor as much as they can. Pelech would hurt that. He had 73 hits last year as well. We've seen that that category kind of dip here as well, but still nearly a 1 hit per game player. So he blocks shots at a high rate. He's going to hit you. He's not going to hit you at an insanely high rate, but he's certainly not scared to use that body. This is a player that's a penalty kill specialist. I spoke about Gavrikov earlier. Gavrikov also a penalty kill specialist. Pelech has a high hockey IQ, which is certainly good because the Rangers could use more of that. He's strong in battles along the boards, but it's not all good when it comes to Pelech. Not much offensive upside when I spoke about. You can see here from the stat graph, no goals, only has 26 goals in 10 seasons in the NHL. He's also had some injury issues. You can see there 60 games last season, not horrible, but during the 22-23 season, he played in 61 games, 58 games in 23-24, and 60 games this past season. So he hasn't been very durable, or as durable as he used to be over these past few years. He's had a couple major injuries as well, thoracic outlet syndrome, an Achilles injury. So, like I said, there's some good stuff with Pelech. There's some bad stuff. What really concerns me is that contract. It kind of handicaps you. And the Rangers are not a Pelech away, like I said, from hoisting Lord Stanley. He's also not very mobile, neither north to south or east to west. So, doesn't have that speed, doesn't really have that acceleration, doesn't have that lateral movement, really, that you see from like a Adam Fox. So, certainly an interesting idea, but I would not pull the trigger on this trade. I respect the player, but I would not pull the trigger on this deal. Now, one last quick hit I want to get into here was the U.S. Men's Olympic Orientation Camp. So USA Hockey released this list, these 44 players they invited to their camp, and only 25 of these players will make Team USA. But something I wanted to highlight here, if you look at the defense, right, we spoke about the slander of Adam Fox lately, NHL Network, putting him as the 16th best defenseman in the NHL, which I truly believe is recency bias from the Four Nations faceoff. Looking at this defense here, I believe that Adam Fox is the second best defenseman on this list. There are certainly some good players. Quinn Hughes, respect the hell out of him, number 1. But man, I have Adam Fox at number 2 on this list. So that slander would really reach another level if he didn't make Team USA. I certainly hope he does. I believe he should, and I hope that he will. I was going to say that I believe he will, but, like I said, this recency bias seems to really be taking a toll on him. A lot of slander out there, and you hate to see it. Still an elite defenseman, in my opinion, second best on this list. But that's going to do it here today, folks. Please leave your comments down below. What do you think of that trade proposal from Cole Shelton? Do you think this is something the Rangers should look into? You think they should look to acquire another defenseman of Adam Pelech's ilk? Somebody like that, a shutdown type of defenseman? Leave your comments down below. Also leave your comments down below about Adam Fox and the slander. Give us a follow on X at Rangers Digest YT. It's in the description. The conversation continues over there and in the comment section as well. Also, if you haven't hit that free subscribe button, please hit that button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. We'll talk soon.